Welcome to the 32nd anniversary of the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future and the 27th anniversary of the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Illustrators of the Future. For our thousands of internet viewers worldwide, we have gathered this evening at the historic Ebell Theater in Los Angeles, California.
Before there can be accomplishment, there must first be vision. The power to see things not merely as they are now, but as they might become. In daring to imagine, we see beyond the mundane to that which delights and inspires, engages and uplifts. With such dreams, we advance social, political, and philosophical thought and drive innovation in art, science, literature, and technology. A culture is only as great as its dreams, and its dreams are dreamed by artists. But mere dreams are not enough. To be useful, vision must be shared widely, so that all may contribute their talents to its realization, be they teachers or builders, organizers or fabricators. Not merely words, but images and models and music that speak to both the mind and the heart and uniquely reach each person. These are the true visionaries. These are the architects of the future. The artist injects the spirit of life into a culture, and through his creative endeavors, the writer works continually to give tomorrow a new form. L. Ron Hubbard understood the power of visionaries to build a tomorrow full of promise and hope, power and accomplishment. Starting early in his career as a renowned storyteller of popular fiction, he worked to not only inspire the next generation of storytellers, but to equip them with the tools of art and craft necessary to succeed. From its earliest beginnings, the inaugural Golden Pen Award provided the means to assist the next generation of creative voices to reach the greatest possible audience. Join us in celebrating both the giants of our past and present and the next generation of visionaries of tomorrow. L. Ron Hubbard presents the writers and illustrators of the future.
Please welcome our Mistress of Ceremonies, Executive Director of Author Services, representing the literary works of L. Ron Hubbard, Ms. Gunhild Jacobs.
Thank you very much. On behalf of everyone at Author Services and Galaxy Press, the publisher of the annual anthology, let me welcome each and every one of you as we continue to hold out the prospect of possibility in discovering and nurturing new creative talent in the fields of science fiction and fantasy. As always, we begin by extending a special acknowledgement to our legendary company of judges. They are the cornerstones for what has now become a fortress for new writers and artists. Their compassion and attention to giving the next generation a hand is proof of their generosity. To our judges, it is an honor and a privilege to have you on board, making the contest the spectacular event that they are. The Writers of the Future judges, past and present, are Kevin J. Anderson, Dr. Doug Beeson, Dr. Gregory Benford, Algiers Budries, Orson Scott Card, Hal Clement, Eric Flint, Brian Herbert, Frank Herbert, Nina Kiriki Hoffman, Dr. Yodi Kondo, Nancy Kress, Anne McCaffrey, Todd McCaffrey, David Farland, Rebecca Mesta, C.L. Moore, Larry Niven, Andrew Norton, Frederick Pohl, Dr. Jerry Purnell, Tim Powers, Mike Resnick, Christine Catherine Rush, Brendan Sanderson, Dr. Robert J. Sawyer, Charles Sheffield, Robert Silverberg, Dean Wesley Smith, Theodore Sturgeon, Katie Wentworth, Dr. Sean Williams, Jack Williamson, and Roger Zelazny. And the judges for the Illustrators of the Future contest, past and present, are Ed Cartier, Robert Castillo, Vincent D. Fate, Diane and Leo Dillon, Dave Dorman, Bob Eggleton, Will Eisner, Frank Frazetta, Frank Kelly Fries, Laura Fries-Baraja, Jack Kirby, Paul Lear, Ron Lindan, Val Leakey Lindan, Stefan Martinier, Gary Meyer, Judith Miller, Mobius, Cliff Nielsen, Sergei Poyakov, Sean Tan, H.R. Van Dongen, and Stephen Ewell. Will those judges here tonight please stand to be acknowledged? We have a few special guests who will be participating in tonight's events who I would like to welcome. Jim Meskimen is the voice of Ultron in Disney's animated Marvel Avengers Assemble. He is also the director for the upcoming full-cast Battlefield Earth audio production of over 65 actors. You may know Jennifer Aspman from one of the 6 television series she starred in, but she is proudest of her monster work on shows such as Supernatural and Scream Queen. And Illustrators of the Future Golden Brush Award winner from 2011, Irvin Rodriguez. Now, for a brief overview of the year in the contest. Both contests continue to grow by leaps and bounds with another year of highest ever entries. Submissions have come from 176 nations, with our first submissions this year from 4 new countries: Swaziland, Samoa, Syria, and St. Vincent. And we are now actively soliciting entries from the remaining 20 uncharted countries on Earth. And after that, to the stars. Previous writer winners published over 370 books and stories this past year. We also discovered dozens of book covers, illustrated books, graphic novels, comics, video game visuals, movie and television designs, and so on from over 300 of our past Illustrator winners. So, less keeping you here all night, we are leaving you with an impressive montage of what we captured for both camps. And as for awards, Tony Pye won Australia's Aurora Award in the category of Best Poem with A Hex with Bees. Our very dear and late Jay Lake won the Endeavour Award for Best Novel and the Locus Magazine Award for Best Collection for Last Plane to Heaven. Ken Liu translated Three Body Problem, written by Cixin Liu, which won the Hugo Award for Best Novel. Ken also won the Sidewise Award for Alternate History for his short story, The Long Haul from the Annals of Transportation. Just for good measure, past winners David D. Levine and Martin Shoemaker were nominated for Nebula Awards, as was past winner and contest judge Nnedi Okorafor. And for those of you who think it is a long way from rookie to renown, Martin Shoemaker won the Writers of the Future contest exactly 1 year ago. Past winner and current contest judge Dr. Sean Williams won Australia's Dietmar Award for his story, The Legend Trap. New judge Old Hand at Writing, Brendan Sanderson, won the Legend Award for Best Fantasy Novel of the Year for Words of Radiance. Contest judge Nancy Kress won a Nebula Award for her novel, Yesterday's Kin. The Jovian Award was presented to our contest judge Mike Resnick for Best Editor Short Form for his work on Galaxy's Edge. And Larry Niven received the coveted Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America Grandmaster Award. Now, above all, our winners from Volume 31 topped the charts with a Publishers Weekly review which said, "Genre insiders will find this an excellent place to spot fresh talent," as the title reached the #7 position on the science fiction bestseller list, making this the first anthology to become a national bestseller in the history of the contest. And that's not all. The late breaking news is that Volume 31 was just announced as a winner of the Benjamin Franklin Award in Science Fiction and Fantasy. And with that, congratulations to our past winners and present judges. Finally, to cap a banner year, I'm very pleased to announce 2 new Illustrator contest judges. First, Echo Chernig, whom we have met at many conventions and grown to admire over the years. With her very upbeat attitude, outlook, and talent, she fits right in. She is an award-winning artist with many years of experience as a professional, but also works as an instructor of graphics and digital illustration. ECHO specializes in Art Nouveau poster design, package design, and book covers with a client list from international brands to fantasy and science fiction illustrations for games and steampunk book covers. Her art is, to put it mildly, stunning, and she has already proven to be an asset to our group. Next, Rob Pryor. Rob is an amazing artist who taught himself to paint with both hands at the same time. Rob's career spans over 30 years of gaming, comic, film, and television experience using his numerous skills as an illustrator, screenwriter, storyboard artist, and more. As a comic book artist, his most notable credits include Spawn, Terminator, Deep Space Nine, Evil Ernie, and Heavy Metal for Marvel, DC, Image Comics, and many more. As an illustrator, he has supplied cover and interior art for Dungeons & Dragons, Battle Lords of the 23rd Century, and many others. Rob is unfortunately not able to be with us tonight. ECHO is here. Will you please stand up and receive a very warm welcome from all of us. As the contests grow, not a year passes by without a special anniversary of some kind. This year is no different. Indeed, it is so significant we decided to launch a new award, the L. Ron Hubbard Silver Star Award. It is bestowed to past winners for 25 years of outstanding contributions to promote and enhance creativity through their own art and through their promotion of the Writers or Illustrators of the Future contests. So now, to present our first award to a past illustrator winner and a current illustrator judge, please welcome the contest director, Joni Labaki.
In 1991, in the second year of a very young Illustrators of the Future contest, the grand prize winner was the first winner from behind the Iron Curtain. Barely speaking English and determined to succeed as an artist in life, he made his way to America with an art style and a portfolio that I would venture to say is unlike any other in the world. In fact, you will see his art on the cover of this year's anthology. And to give you a glimpse of this unique artist, here is a small visual presentation we put together.
America, thank you Los Angeles, thank you Ron Hubbard.
For 25 years of inimitable creativity and promoting the Illustrators of the Future contest, please welcome on stage Sergei Poyarkov to receive the L. Ron Hubbard Silver Star Award.
so nicely heavy. Well, thank you for coming here. 25 years ago, I was a young, aspiring artist attending a convention in the Soviet Union, still behind the Iron Curtain. An artist told me about a contest for illustrators. I didn't think it was for real, but I was young and believed in fairy tales, so I submitted. When I got the news that I had won, I thought it was a dream. I didn't truly believe in this. It was unimaginable. I went on a plane, though I had never traveled overseas. I went to America, a land of freedom, something I had only read about. I was like getting a trip to Mars. Then the event came, and the announcement I had won the grand prize. Even more unreal. How could it be me? I hardly spoke any English, as you heard. What would I say? As you saw, I said about the only words I knew. I felt as if I had won the universe. I felt that, you know, like a Freddie Mercury was singing in the "We are the champions," something like that. It gave me the self-confidence and inspiration that I needed to go on. And if there was a higher power and if that could penetrate and dissolve any differences between nations and races and to bring about a better future, let's just say the Iron Curtain fell a couple of days after I arrived in America and received that award. So, the contest taught me that if you work hard, you can do almost anything, and the only thing limiting us is our lack of imagination. My very first job was a project to illustrate L. Ron Hubbard's final Blackout novel. The deadline was about 4.5 weeks or so. The only problem was, it was a little problem. It's a tiny, just so little. I didn't read or speak English. And the book has not been translated into my native language. I spent about 3.5 weeks reading the book. It was my crash course in English. And then worked a week or so on the illustrations. And made it. After that, I came to understand that if you work hard, you can do anything. In anything, even illustrating books you can't read. It's through the L. Ron Hubbard's Illustrators of the Future contest that I have met some of the most compassionate and kind people. They welcomed me, they helped me, and they taught me the value of giving a hand to your fellow man. And one day, they called me and asked me to become a judge. Of course, I said, yes! I maybe look strange, but I'm not crazy. Of course, I said yes! I was, and it's my turn to pay it forward, which I do at every opportunity I get. I'm very honored to receive this award after 25 years. In fact, I would like everyone here to postulate with me that I received the L. Ron Hubbard Lifetime Achievement Awards in another 25 years, and another one in 50 years, and so on. I would also like to give a special thank to my wife. She has unconditionally accepted me and my pushy, dynamic character for a full 15 years. She came here with me for this very special moment, and today is her birthday. I love you, Erin. Happy birthday. And when I spoke those few words of thanks 25 years ago, I meant every single one of them. I still do. I love America, and the principles upon which she was built, and for exercising those principles at this moment with my country. I love Los Angeles for receiving me with open arms 25 years ago, and again, just a few days ago. And I love L. Ron Hubbard for having the vision to help artists succeed and create a better world. Art is a part of the universe. It makes the world perfect. Thank you, America. Thank you, Los Angeles. And thank you, Ron Hubbard.
Please note, the Grand Prize writer winner from the same year as Sergei, James C. Glass, is also with us tonight. He entered the annals of successful careers following the writer contest win with more than 70 published novels and short stories of his own. Let's give a hand to James C. Glass. L. Ron Hubbard was, as he himself stated, first and foremost a writer with a lifelong vision and passion for the arts. As a young man, he became a best-selling author with his stories gracing the covers of the hottest popular fiction magazines of the 1930s and 40s. Ron published nearly 250 works of fiction in all the popular genres of his day, including mystery, adventure, thriller, western, romance, horror, science fiction, and fantasy. He originally entered the field of speculative fiction in 1937, enlisted by publisher Street and Smith to transform the genre with real characterization, which would broaden the fan base of Astounding. And ultimately, he helped to usher in science fiction's golden age with such genre-launching stories as Final Blackout, Fear, and To the Stars. Having reached the top as a writer himself, he also wanted to guide new writers and help them overcome obstacles they were likely to face, both in producing good work and in getting it published. He shared his experience as an author with creative writing students at Harvard and George Washington universities. And as president of the New York chapter of the American Fiction Guild, he made it easier for writers to join the guild. Determined to help aspiring writers in any way he could, he penned a series of how-to articles that were published in magazines of the day. And after a lifelong tradition of helping writers, it was upon his return to the field of speculative fiction in the early 80s, he established the Writers of the Future contest with these words: "The competition is very keen and even dagger sharp. It is with this in mind that I initiated a means for new and budding writers to have a chance for their creative efforts to be seen and acknowledged. In that same spirit, and expressly for artists who would give the written word visual form, the Illustrators of the Future contest was added." Something else followed L. Ron Hubbard's original foray into speculative fiction, his much-awaited return to the field in 1982, when he released his monumental Battlefield Earth. This was the book which captivated a worldwide audience and dominated international bestseller lists. That's also the work he dedicated to Robert A. Heinlein, A. E. Van Vogt, John W. Campbell Jr., and all the others from the 30s and 40s who ushered in the golden age of science fiction and fantasy, and so made these genres the respected literary traditions that they are today. Something that may not be known broadly is the premise for this novel, the NASA launch of the Voyager space probe in 1977 to study the outer solar system. Now, after more than 38 years, the space probe has entered interstellar space, and it still receives routine commands and returns data. It carries a gold-plated audiovisual disc in the event that it is ever found by intelligent life forms from other planetary systems. In Battlefield Earth, the Voyager is found by an alien race, upon which the story unfolds, as you will see in this trailer.
This is Voyager launch control, T-minus 28 minutes. Pneumatic flight control. Go. Vehicle power. 10, 9, 8, 7.
Twin space probes Voyager 1 and 2 are being launched on an exploratory mission of our solar system.
We have a liftoff.
They contain copies of the Golden Record, an ambitious message including the location of Earth and a description of the human race, as well as sounds and images selected to portray the diversity of life and culture on Earth.
After 35 years of space travel, Voyager 1 has now reached what scientists call interstellar space, the outer limits of our sun's sphere of influence. The question remains, who will receive our message, and will we get an answer?
As a note on the striking cover image for the new edition of Battlefield Earth, L. Ron Hubbard commissioned the painting from the legendary Frank Frazetta, whom Ron called the King of Illustrators, and Frazetta would, of course, go on to become an Illustrators of the Future judge. Now, in the introduction to Battlefield Earth, the author covered the original mission for science fiction, and I quote, "Science fiction, particularly in its golden age, had a mission. From Campbell and from Shooting the Breeze with other writers of the time, one got the very solid impression that they were doing a heavy job of beating the drum to get man to the stars. As one of the crew of writers that helped start man to the stars, I'm very proud of being known as a science fiction writer. You have satellites out there, man has walked on the moon, you have probes going to the planets, don't you? Somebody had to dream the dream, and a lot of somebodies, like those great writers of the Golden Age and later, had to get an awful lot of people interested in it to make it true." And what is man's next mission? You got it, Mars. Our keynote speaker tonight is not going to talk about sending someone else out there. She's bound and determined to go there herself. She is one of 100 candidates selected to colonize Mars via the nonprofit Mars One organization that has as its goal a permanent human settlement on Mars. When not preparing for the trip of her life, she is the media specialist of the Commercial Spaceflight Federation and has worked with a number of government agencies to accelerate the progress of the commercial spaceflight industry. She's an active member of the Explorers Club and serves on the Space Committee. Please give a warm welcome to Kelly Girardi.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here tonight. And as I'm sure is the case with almost everyone in this room, I'm a lifelong lover of science fiction. I'm also a really big fan of seeing it come to life, especially in my industry, where I get to watch the progress of something that was once considered impossible every day. I was actually in Cape Canaveral on Friday, watching a pretty historic launch. Has anyone here ever heard of SpaceX? Yeah, okay. Well, Friday afternoon, they accomplished something extraordinary. After launching their Falcon 9 rocket, hat-tip to the Millennium Falcon, carrying cargo and experiments to the International Space Station, they once again attempted to recover the first stage of the rocket by guiding it back to a soft landing on an unmanned barge in the Atlantic Ocean, as you can see here. Look at that. Reusable rocketry holds the promise of dramatically lowering the cost of launch and the cost of access to space. So just to set the tone for tonight, we're alive in a time where we have a Falcon headed to the International Space Station and a rocket landing on a drone ship. Right? It's exhilarating. As I was preparing my remarks for tonight, I reread the introduction to Battlefield Earth, as one does before one addresses the writers and illustrators of the future. And one phrase in particular jumped out at me. Science fiction does not come after the fact of scientific discovery or development. It is the herald of possibility. We all know that the work of scientists has long been fueled by the imagination of writers. Robots, lasers, rockets, atomic power were all well described in fiction long before they became a reality. But science fiction does so much more than predict the future. It inspires it. When a story is so powerful, so compelling, that it takes root in a reader's imagination and lies dormant there through years of academic work or life experience until she one day wonders, what would it take to make that a reality? That's the herald of possibility. And my personal dream of space settlement didn't start in a physics classroom or at the spaceport where I worked. It started under the covers with a flashlight, way past my bedtime, wondering not if, but when I would go to space. And I experienced a range of emotions when I calculated my odds. It was startling to learn that only 24 people in the history of mankind have ever traveled beyond low Earth orbit. And then I was annoyed to note that they were all white men. Still annoyed. But I was truly bewildered to note that it's been almost 50 years since we made those giant leaps for mankind. Man walks on the moon. Science fiction came to life that day when Apollo 11 journeyed some 250,000 miles away from our home planet, further than our species had ever been. But we still have so far to go. And despite the odds, I grew up enchanted by the possibility and encouraged by our progress. And we've been busy since putting 12 men on the moon. We've built and occupied an international space station, we've sent a probe into interstellar space, and we look at all of the images coming back from the Hubble telescope, and we know that those hundreds of billions of little dots aren't stars or planets or galaxies. They're clusters of galaxies, hundreds of billions of galaxies, and we haven't even explored the far reaches of our own. That is the herald of possibility. And that's the herald of possibility that mobilized a generation of science fiction fans turned scientists to take matters into their own hands. These orphans of Apollo, unsatisfied with the odds of interplanetary travel in their own lifetimes, worked with NASA to build a diverse commercial spaceflight industry, expanding Earth's economic sphere and democratizing access to space for citizens and scientists and civilians like us. But as always, we still have further to go. And I'm hoping that the next stop is Mars. I think there's always been something so uniquely compelling about the Red Planet, our next-door neighbor a world away. From War of the Worlds to the Martian Chronicles, Stranger in a Strange Land, the Sirens of Titan to The Martian, the Red Planet continues to captivate the imaginations of explorers, heralding the possibility of space settlement. And what a time to be alive when science fiction fans like myself can point to Mars and say with scientific certainty, that is a planet inhabited entirely by robots. And as cool as that sounds, I want people there too. I want to see people living on Mars, working on Mars, yes, even dying on Mars. I want to contribute to our evolutionary leap into an interplanetary species. Arthur C. Clarke famously quipped that these sort of revolutionary ideas inevitably pass through 3 stages. 1, it's impossible. 2, it can probably be done, but it's not worth doing. And 3, I knew it was a good idea all along. And he is an expert on this cycle. When he first proposed the use of geosynchronous orbit for communication satellites, his idea firmly landed in stage 1. That was 1945. Today, with our dependence on those satellites for television, phone calls, even the streaming of this awards gala, we know he reached stage 3. Space settlement, though, is currently stuck in stage 2. An interplanetary mission of this scale would likely be one of the most expensive and difficult engineering challenges of the 21st century. But it's also in our best interest. I'm optimistic about the future of our species, but I also recognize that life on Earth has an expiration date. Without space settlement or advanced life support systems, our species does as well. And that's only if we don't wipe ourselves out first through infectious disease, nuclear war, even malevolent AI. All of these possibilities are alarmingly well documented in science fiction. Yeah, heed the warning. And even if we somehow avoid all of that, we still know that one day Earth will simply cease to support life. So put simply, a future without space exploration and space settlement capabilities, all our eggs on one planet, is no future at all. On a more emotional level, I want humans on Mars because it's within our reach. The entire solar system is within our reach. I want to go to Mars for the same reason Mallory dreamed of summiting Everest, because it's there. And the good news is that there's nothing technically impossible about a crewed mission to Mars. One way, at least. It all pretty much boils down to your budget and your risk profile. In other words, Clark might say it's in stage 2. But stage 3 can be reached within the lifetimes of everyone in this room, and I've had a taste of it. A year ago, I joined Crew 149 for 3 weeks at the Mars Desert Research Station. It's a prototype laboratory used by a variety of national space agencies and scientists to simulate deep space flight and conduct analog Martian research in the hopes of advancing mankind's ability to settle space. As my husband called it, Mars Camp. My crew was comprised of pilots, engineers, NASA researchers. We were all united in our conviction that human expansion in the solar system is feasible within our lifetimes. But we were also united in the fact that we had each applied as astronaut candidates for Mars ourselves, as part of the Mars One project, which aims to launch pioneers to the Red Planet as a vanguard of a permanent colony. Not a single one of us was deluded into thinking a mission was a given. Even absent the significant engineering challenges, it's still a massively expensive long shot. Do we think we're going to be on Mars in 20 years? No, we realized it was unlikely. But did we all agree that that future was possible and one worth working towards? Absolutely. It's the same herald of possibility that motivated hundreds of thousands of people to apply for the chance to travel to Mars themselves. Students, scientists, authors, doctors, parents, teachers, a diverse group of people whose vision for the future isn't crippled by the barriers of the present. They want to participate in the next giant leap for mankind. I'm excited that my comparatively short lifespan on Earth just so happens to fall within a window in history where interplanetary life is not only well imagined, but possible. It's the first time in over 4 billion years we have the opportunity to settle other worlds. We don't know how long that window of opportunity is going to last. I've dedicated my time to making sure we don't waste it. Doubters say it will never happen. We'll never solve the engineering challenges to keep humans alive in such a harsh environment. Cynics admit that while it might be possible, it's too expensive and too risky to justify. And then there are the dreamers like me, the Jim Carreys of science, who look at the odds and say, so you're telling me there's a chance? Because that's all it takes, a chance. And I don't see a lot of cynics in this room. I see a room full of people who are well acquainted with the herald of possibility and who know the power it has to trigger imaginations and spur scientific advancement. In my industry, there's a shared goal of expanding human presence in the solar system, of reaching as a species towards the stars. But those stars are put in our vision by the people here tonight, the dreamers, the artists, and the science fiction creators. So just remember that this is truly where it starts, with the writers in this room, but also with the readers. It takes both to change the world. A century ago, Konstantin Tsiolkovsky read a fantastic story by Jules Verne involving the use of a cannon for space travel. He quickly realized it wouldn't work. The barrel would have to be impossibly long. Nevertheless, he was so inspired that he developed the theory of spaceflight and the multi-stage rocket that eventually put men on the moon. That's the true power of science fiction that Mr. Hubbard spoke about in the introduction of Battlefield Earth. Not Verne's ability to predict the future of spaceflight, but his ability to inspire Tsiolkovsky to discover what might make spaceflight feasible, the herald of possibility. So a sincere congratulations to all the winners here tonight, and a sincere thank you.
On behalf of the contest, I would like to present you with an L. Ron Hubbard Writers and Illustrators of the Future flag, which we have created and are inaugurating in honor of man's first interplanetary settlement. Sewn into the flag is a computer chip, which holds copies of novels, stories, and artwork by our judges and this year's winners. These are for use in the very first library and art gallery on Mars. Also included on the chip are predictions from our judges for what will be the most significant discovery on Mars in its first 6 months of habitation. Kelly, this is for your journey to Mars. Bon voyage. We now come to the awards for the best aspiring authors and illustrators of the year, gleaned from thousands of submissions. Each quarter, our venerable judges choose 3 winning writers and 3 winning illustrators, 24 artists in all, who stand before you tonight. At the end of the 4th quarter, with all winning stories selected, the second phase of the illustrator contest begins. The 12 winning artists are given the 12 winning stories to illustrate. Each artist is commissioned to create an illustration which captures a scene or the essence of their assigned story. They receive art direction from one of our illustrator judges, Bob Eggleton, and the final illustration pieces are published in the annual anthology. Based on these final art submissions, the judges select the winner of the Grand Prize Golden Brush Award. As we present the awards, we will give you a special taste of each story and the art included in our 32nd volume. Our adventure begins with the story, The Star Tree, where trading cards hold the title to entire worlds. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Dr. Robert J. Sawyer and Brittany and Brianna Winner.
John Lasser lives in Seattle, Washington with his wife Laura and children. Although he's been writing since he was 6, he only started focusing on speculative fiction once his wife told him to put up or shut up. We're happy that he decided to put up. Please congratulate the author of The Star Tree, John Lasser.
Thank you very, very much. I'm honored to receive this award. I've heard many times that success has 1,000 fathers, but failure is an orphan. I've always understood that to mean that people took unearned credit for somebody else's success. But the Star Tree could not have won this award without the help of too many mothers and fathers for me to name, the readers, cheerleaders, and crit group partners who brought me here. To single out a crucial few, Sarah Pinsker, my first reader, whose critique, for her enthusiasm and encouragement. Timmy Duchamp, whose critique let me know I was hitting my mark, even as she pointed out where I could do better. And Carolyn Yoakum, who pushed me to give the story the ending it deserved. I'd also like to thank everyone who's made this week and this contest so wonderful. L. Ron Hubbard for his foresight and generosity in establishing the Writers and Illustrators of the Future. Dave Farland and Tim Powers for leading this year's phenomenal workshop. Sean Williams, who's been here all week for his generosity of spirit and of spirits. All of the other judges and guest speakers, also too many to name, and every one of them so helpful and welcoming. I'd also like to thank Joni for her tireless and too often thankless work, arranging and organizing, Maliva for her work finalizing this beautiful anthology, and all of my classmates who made this week so special. Thank you. Finally, I'd like to thank my wife Laura for her tireless support. Earlier this week, on our 10th wedding anniversary, I was working here while she was home in Seattle taking care of our daughter, our 2-year-old daughter with 104-degree fever. Laura's cleared the space in our lives that allows me to write. I wouldn't be here without her. Thank you, Laura. I love you, and thank all of you.
For Killian McGowan, illustration has become a way to bring his imagined epic space adventures in far-off lands into reality. It's almost a necessity for Killian to do what he does, or he'd go crazy with the epic characters and adventures stuck in his mind. We are pleased that he's with us tonight from Phoenix, Arizona. Please congratulate illustrator of The Star Tree, Killian McGowan. Woo!
So this is real, right? This is all, okay. So I've been pinching myself all day. It's been an amazing honor this whole week to be learning from some of these masters of art and writing, and to be surrounded by all these other winning, up-and-coming illustrators. And it really has inspired me to continue to push my limits and take things to the next level. And I don't think I could have done it without everybody here. So thank you, everybody.
In Images Across a Shattered Sea, people from the distant past send messages to the future. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge Mike Resnick and actress Ms. Jennifer Aspen.
Hi, they wanted me to do that routine, but I told them I'd rather give out an award. Anyway, Stuart C. Baker from Oregon is an academic librarian, haikuist, and a writer of speculative fiction. Stuart's poetry has appeared in various magazines, and his fiction has appeared in places like Flash Fiction Online, Nature, and my own magazine, Galaxy's Edge. Writers of the Future is his third professional short story sale. Please congratulate the author of Images Across a Shattered Sea, Stuart C. Baker.
I have a speech prepared, but I think first I just need to say thank you for that amazing dance interpretation, which is going to make me look really, really like a poor performer in comparison. More seriously, a lot of people played a part in my being here tonight. First and foremost, I want to thank my wife, Jane, for encouraging and supporting me and putting up with me, both in writing and in life. Thank you, Jane. I love you. Also want to thank our two children for being the lovely, incredible, wonderful, stressful, amazing bundles of contradiction that children always are. And to my parents, who are currently looking after them, and without whom I wouldn't be here for a number of reasons. A lot of writers had eyeballs on this story. I want to thank the folks at Liberty Hall, Worms Gauntlet, Baines Bar, and Codex for their feedback on the progressive drafts of Images Across the Shattered Sea. and give a more general writerly thank you to my friends from Scribophile and Writers of the Future forums and all the other corners of the internet where they haven't kicked me out yet. Last, but certainly not least, I want to thank, sincerely, Tim Powers, Dave Farland, Mike Resnick, and all the rest of the contest judges and administrators and instructors and everybody at Author Services who does so much to keep the contest and its vision running smoothly year after year. Thank you.
As a child in Wisconsin, Paul Otney found himself with an unquenchable thirst for creating, mostly in the form of drawing, but he never saw much of a career in it until he enrolled in Vancouver Film School. With his passion rekindled, he began drawing and painting as a means of design for film, games, and stories. He hopes to continue to improve his illustrations and make a career as a concept artist. Please congratulate illustrator of Images Across a Shattered Sea, Paul Otney.
Well, this is a very lovely award. The first thing I've won, which did not have for participation inscribed beneath it. But seriously though, I want to say that I think what we're doing here tonight is an important thing. I believe that when someone reaches success in life, the kind thing to do is to hold open the door behind them for the next person, because sometimes everyone needs a little bit of help. And so for that, I would like to thank the wonderful people who keep this event running year after year. And hopefully, I would like to someday extend my own, sorry. I would like to hopefully help someone else do the same thing and hold the door open for the next person behind me. I would like to thank my parents for being supportive and for allowing me to mooch off of them. I'm sorry for that. I would like to thank my brother for telling me about this contest in the first place and encouraging me to submit my work. I never would have expected to win and be standing here like I am now. And lastly, I would like to thank my fellow illustrators and writers for, yes, being good illustrators and writers, but more importantly, for being good people. And I think that is a quality that there can never be too much of. So thank you all so much. We have the tools, our pens and brushes. We can use those to shape the future. I wish you all the best of luck in doing so. Thank you.
In Mobius, the bite of a dead man is the least of Dr. Aris's problems. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge, Dr. Jerry Purnell, and Illustrators of the Future Judge, Dr. Laura Fries Baraha.
As you can sort of plainly see, I'm still here, he said. He said redundantly. And furthermore, I still know where my towel is. You had a stirring exhortation to colonize Mars, with which I certainly agree, but I will insert the side note. We've been trying to build a lunar colony for 30 years, and I think I know how to do it, and we might learn something on the way to Mars that we need to know. Christopher Reber atones for his habit of writing on dead trees by working on live ones as a certified arborist and tree climber. Prior to that, he was a firefighter on 2 U.S. federal hotshot crews, and before that, a tour guide in China while at Peking University. Christopher is fairly certain that he holds the distinction of being the only winner to answer his finalist notification call while impersonating Arnold Schwarzenegger. Please congratulate author of Mobius, Christoph Weber.
So usually when I receive a call from an unknown number, it's a telemarketer. And sometimes I like to have a little bit of fun with them. And so one day last year, I got one of these calls. I didn't know the number. And so I picked up the phone and I said, "This is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who are you and what do you want?" At which point the caller said, "Yeah, hi, this is Joni with Writers of the Future. I'm looking for Christoph." At which point there was an awkward silence as I palmed my face. And then I said something like, "Yeah, let me go get him." So first off, thanks to Joni for not rescinding my award right then. To the folks at Authors Services who've worked tirelessly to make this happen. To L. Ron Hubbard, whose vision and generosity breathed life into this contest. To the judges and the instructors who have selflessly shared, their knowledge and their time to advance our careers. To my family, who gave me the encouragement that I needed to pursue this mad dream of being a writer. And to all of you who are making that dream feel a little bit like a reality tonight. I came down here on my birthday, and it's been the best birthday present ever. So thank you.
Talia Spencer is from Burbank, California. Right to go, Burbank. Beautiful downtown Burbank. No, it's really lovely, trust me, it's fine. Her passion is inspiring love and the acceptance of pain through her art and her storytelling. She currently attends Art Center College of Design, where she majors in entertainment design. Talia is unfortunately not able to be with us this evening, but we wish her the best in her artistic career. Please congratulate illustrator of Mobius, Talia Spencer.
In The Jack of Souls, Herrick has only 2 hours to live, unless he can win the gods' favor. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge Larry Niven and actor Mr. Jim Meskimen.
Good evening. Stephen Merlino lives in Seattle, Washington, where he writes plays, or else writes plays if they got the comma wrong, and teaches high school English. He lives with his wife, 2 fabulous kids, and 3 attacked chickens. Stephen's winning story, The Jack of Souls, is a story taken from his novel of the same name. Please congratulate the author of Jack of Souls, Stephen Merlino.
Thank you very much. I feel very honored to be here tonight as part of this pay-in to imagination. In 15 years of teaching high school English, I've developed a kind of recognition for certain types of students, distracting students. There's the kid who waits, just can't stand to sit, and waits till after the bell for me to invite him to sit in his chair. And there's another who can't even stand still and must constantly be in motion, and so arrives early to class, dumps her backpack, and then gets out in the hall so she can glide about until the bell rings, and most likely 30 seconds after the bell rings, glide back in and with reluctance sit. There's also the student who forgets his pen, or misplaces it, or can't find it. He's there on time, but he can't find his pen. And so he then, in the first 30 seconds of class, in which I'm usually divulging some precious, important information, distracting the people around him looking for a pen and apologetically trying to borrow one. Well, this week, I learned, sitting in the student seat, that I am that student. I will return to my classroom with a new appreciation for those kids. This was actually pointed out to me by one of the judges. I'm not going to say who it was, but he's Australian. So my first thanks go to our teachers, who were magnificent. And primarily this was David Farland and Tim Powers, who spent hours and hours with us for days on end, and just divulging everything they could think of that would help us in our careers, either in the manner of craft or discipline, or in the business end, and we are so grateful. And in addition, of course, there were many other speakers, and every one of them is taking time out of their life to share with us. We're so grateful, and it's made an immense difference already in our concept of what is possible. Additionally, of course, we have to thank the author services people. Joni, who was the first voice I heard when she called with the news. The first person I heard or saw was Joanne at the airport, and then there were all the people who spent every day with us in that room, basically. Sophie and Maliva and Adrian, many more as well. But if you weren't there doing this to make this happen and grease the gears, it wouldn't happen. And because of you, all of us are going to go home with a new conception of our lives as two halves, what happened before, what it was like before Writers of the Future, and what it was like after. And that's an immense gift. And of course, it wouldn't have happened at all if Ron Hubbard hadn't had the unbelievable foresight in 1982 to set this up and then will all of the royalties of his books to fund it every year. It's just, and so of course, we're bound to pay this forward, and I too can't wait to do that. If it weren't for them and for him, I would never have met, for instance, Marcela Ugarte, who did the wonderful illustration for the Jack of Souls. Such a sensitive and thoughtful reading, and I never thought to see it interpreted by someone else, and that was really wonderful. Finally, no writer achieves anything without the support of many people around them, and I want to list just a couple here. All the people who put up with the outrageous symptoms of being a writer, primarily this tendency to vanish into a hole for hours and hours doing apparently nothing, except maybe obsessively arranging and rearranging tiny black squiggles on paper in an attempt at telepathy with another kind of obsessive called a reader. My wife refers to this as my other wife. So my most important thanks come to my family. I would start with my mother, who took me to my first writer's workshop because she saw something there inside of me. To my father, who taught me long patience. To the writers groups, Seattle Writers Cramp and the Wayward Gang, my best friends who suffered through many iterations of my novel. And finally, my wonderful kids who are here in the audience, Roji, who continually inspire me with their curiosity and intelligence and joy of life. This is a daily inspiration and blessing. And finally, my wife, who for years put up with nothing to show for my writing as I learned the craft, and especially for the faith she had in me during those years. I guess I'd just like to close in saying that there's as much of you in this as there is me.
Marisela Ugarte Peña comes to us from Monterrey, Mexico. Hey. Mari's grandmother, an artist herself, nurtured Mari's interests. Eventually, Mari began to develop her work in conjunction with an online community where she developed many close friends. Now, Mari is creating diverse illustrations for games. She's working hard, polishing her art and stories so that she can develop her own original graphic novels. Please congratulate illustrator of The Jack of Souls, Marisela Ugarte Peña.
Okay. Well, to begin with, there was a little bit of a mistake. Those illustrations were not mine, so later on I will show you my illustrations on my portfolio at the signing table. So I'll be waiting for you there. So, buenas noches, good evening. It is incredible that just a few days ago I arrived to LA and I had a wonderful, amazing time on this workshop, and I'm incredibly grateful to the people who made this possible. They're so funny and sweet. I would like to thank L. Ron Hubbard and the staff and judges from this contest for this opportunity. They did an amazing job, and I had so much fun. Many thanks to my friends who have always pushed me to work harder. They're such a huge inspiration in my life, and without them, I think I wouldn't have gone this far. And especially great thanks to my writer, Stephen Merlino, who made my job much easier by providing such an inspiring story to work with. And muchas gracias a mi familia por siempre apoyarme. Los quiero mucho aunque no se los diga. Y muchas gracias por cuidar a mis mascotas cuando no estoy. Gracias.
In Squalor and Sympathy, Anna works in a factory where her magic won't even provide for her barest needs. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge Nancy Kress and Illustrators of the Future 2011 Grand Prize winner, Irvin Rodriguez.
It's my privilege to introduce Matt Dovey, the author of Squalor and Sympathy. Matt comes to us from rural England, where he not only writes stories, but also brews wine, takes photographs, and participates in live role play. He keeps an ideas that need writing list, and we are all very glad that Squalor and Sympathy came off the list, into his computer, and across the Atlantic to us. The story concerns magical powers among the oppressed poor in such a detailed Victorian England that I could see, hear, and even smell the textile mills. This accomplished story is his first publication, but is certainly not going to be his last. Please join with me in congratulating Matt Dovey.
Now, being British, I would like to take this opportunity to tender some important apologies. First and foremost, to my gorgeous wife Claire, for all the times I will drift off during a conversation while I think about some plot thread. For all the times I will come downstairs from putting the children to bed and sit straight down at the keyboard, ignoring all the mess they've left in the front room. And for all the times I come up to bed late at midnight, having been writing far later than is healthier for me, and I wake you up. I am sorry. I couldn't do this without you, and I miss you, and I love you. I would like to apologise to my boys, James and William, for all the times playtime was interrupted for me to get my phone out and write an idea down. And to my daughter Alicia, who can't use the computer without me sat behind her like a sullen teenager waiting for my turn. I'd like to apologise to my parents, Sarah and Graham, for all the Christmas days when I disappeared because I'd found the Discworld book under the tree and run off to read it cover to cover. Though I think that's working out quite well right now. I would like to apologise to all the fine people on critters.org, not only for having to read my terrible first drafts and early stories, but also for putting up with my thoughts on their stories in return. I've learnt so much and so much more from looking at your stories than even you've given me on mine. And I wouldn't be up here if I hadn't been on Critters learning to write with everyone there. So thank you. And remember, crit early and crit often. I would like to apologise to Adrian Massaro, my illustrator, who had to go through 50 sketches to find an idea he could draw out of that story. And the idea he found is incredible. It is, I nearly cried when I saw that illustration. The only reason I didn't is because I'd promised my wife Claire I wouldn't. I'd like to apologise to our fine judges and instructors from the week, to Tim Powers, for all the times I've delayed the workshop because I was still making a cup of tea in the kitchen. To David Farland for my weak human bladder. To Sean Williams and Megan E. O'Keefe, who have done such an excellent job of herding us. We've been like cats to herd, I think. And to all the other guests and judges, there are too many to name, but we've had so many fantastic speeches and so much instruction from so many legendary names in the field, and the way you pay it forward is incredible, and thank you all. And finally, I would like to thank, because I don't know if you noticed, all those apologies were really thank yous. I just couldn't work out a way to make this one an apology. I would like to thank the community. As Nancy said, this was my first sale. Look at this. The community has been so welcoming and friendly and open and supportive. And I would just like to thank everyone who is a part of that community. Everyone here tonight is part of that community. I would like to thank all of you for supporting us. And I would like to thank L. Ron Hubbard for still being part of that community 30 years after his death by setting up this workshop and this contest. And all the people at Author Services and Galaxy Press have been so wonderful, so organised and friendly and just nice. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Just getting the phone call from Joni was life-changing, Actually being here this week has been beyond words, so thank you.
Adrián Massaro is from a small tourist city in Bariloche, Argentina. He has drawn ever since his hands could hold anything that could leave a mark and his mind could picture what a tree or a dinosaur looked like. Adrián studied visual communication design at the National University of La Plata in Buenos Aires. Adrián is always in search of new experiences and roads to travel. Please congratulate illustrator of Squalor and Sympathy, Adrián Massaro.
Okay, surreal moment. Gotta get my... So, thanks to the organization, to Author Services and Galaxy Press, and of course, L. Ron Hubbard, and everyone involved in making these events. The work that you put and what you do for us, creatives and weirdos like me, it represents a lot, and describing that kind of work is nothing short of amazing. I want to thank my family for their support and advice, and my friends for their encouragement, to the awesome judges and the other winners for an amazing last week at the workshop. And thanks, Johnny, for giving me a call at 2 a.m. and waking me up for this good news. And thanks to Matt for giving me a great story to illustrate, and everyone here for making these events possible, and I'm looking forward to see many more of these in the future. So, gracias.
In Dinosaur Dreams in Infinite Measure, Liza finds infinite joy in the creation of dinosaurs right in the backyard. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Todd McCaffrey and Illustrators of the Future Judge Larry Elmore.
Rachel K. Jones grew up in various cities across Europe and North America, where she picked up and mostly forgot 6 languages along with an addiction to running. Now she lives in Athens, Georgia with her husband. She is a writer, an editor, a podcaster, and a secret android. In her free time, she writes stories about her favorite things: dinosaurs, friendship, feminism, and upwardly mobile brains in jars. Please congratulate author of Dinosaur Dreams in Infinite Measure, Rachel K. Jones.
Wow, it's really hard to follow the dancing dinosaurs. So do you ever have that dream where you're standing on stage in a beautiful theater in Hollywood about to receive a major award for your short fiction? Because I'm having that dream right this second, and all of you are in it. I'd like to thank all of you for being here. I'd like to give my sincerest appreciation to all the folks at Writers of the Future and Author Services for making this happen, and to L. Ron Hubbard, founder of the award, for his interest in finding and fostering new talent in our field. Thank you to our most worshipful judges and all our workshop instructors, especially Dave and Tim, for their wit and wisdom. Thanks also to the other winners for all the good times this week, all the little adventures and small terrors every now and then. A very special thank you to Preston Stone for his stunning illustration of my work. It's amazing. And thank you to everyone in UGA's Communication Sciences and Disorders Department who very graciously allowed me to be here today. And big hugs to my cohort whose support and encouragement made this possible. Thank you to all my friends at Escape Artists, especially the Podcastle staff and my co-editor, Grant Dunlop. And thanks to my writing group, the Dire Turtles, Dave Thompson, Nathan Lee, David Steffen, Doug Engstrom, Emma Smales, Ben Blattberg, Shane Hallbach, and Khalida Muhammad Ali. Without you, I wouldn't have found my voice or my confidence. You're never far from my heart. Thanks to my parents, my mom, who inspired my winning story, and to my dad, who was the first to encourage my writing when I was a young child with a notebook and a Tolkien addiction. And most of all, thank you to my husband, Jason, my rock, my inspiration, and my eternally patient alpha reader. I love you so much. I would never fly so far without you being the slingshot that sends me forward. Thank you, everyone.
Preston Stone was born and raised in Loveland, Colorado. In preschool, he began making images of superheroes and monsters with markers. From there, he expanded the subject matter to include various wildlife, eventually developing a fondness for drawing insects. There was even a time when it seemed he might pursue entomology as a career. Instead, we're happy to report that he stayed on the path of art. Please congratulate illustrator of Dinosaur Dreams in Infinite Measure, Preston Stone.
I'd like to begin by thanking L. Ron Hubbard and the wonderful people at Author Services for making this week possible. I want to thank Rachel Brown, my girlfriend, who wasn't here tonight. She couldn't because she doesn't have enough money to get here, but I'd like to thank my parents who could be here tonight. I think it was probably when I was 5 when they got my drawing table for me, and I still work on that drawing table. I want to thank Rachel Jones for writing the story that inspired the images that I created. And I want to thank the dinosaur that was just out here dancing. More than anyone, though, artistically, I want to thank Seeger Hartgers, who is my life drawing and printmaking instructor at the University of Northern Colorado. He made me love art. I liked it before, but he is the reason that I'm here now, and I am the artist that I am. Thank you very much.
In Last Sunset for the World Weary, the last sunset on Earth is quite beautiful, but a bit sad. Please welcome Writers of the Future judges Doug Beeson and Nini Kariki Hoffman.
Good evening. H.L. Fullerton was born in New York and still lives there. She's never watched the world from the deck of a star cruiser, writes mostly speculative fiction, tends toward the apocalyptic, prefers penguins over pandas, and fiction over non. And she's also had stories published in places such as AE, Daily Science Fiction, Free Fiction, Parsecs, Triangulation Anthologies, and Urban Fantasy Magazine. H.L. is not with us tonight in body, but she is certainly here in spirit. So please join me in congratulating H.L. Fullerton, author of Last Sunset for the World Weary.
Camber Arnhart was born in 1996 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and raised by her two artistic parents. She attends the University of New Mexico, where she intends to obtain a degree in computer science and a minor in art. Equipped with both technical and artistic skills, she aims to create her own games that inspire audiences with engaging stories and environments. Please congratulate illustrator of The Last Sunset for the World Weary, Camber Arnhart.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot of you out there. Oh my gosh, well, I have a lot of thank yous. I really want to thank L. Ron Hubbard for establishing this contest. It's really incredible, and I'm so happy to be here, and none of this would have happened without him. I want to thank the people at Authors Services for putting up with all of us and really creating a wonderful experience and just being very supportive and kind. I want to thank the judges and the instructors that taught us so much. I've learned just an incredible amount of information from them this week. And I want to thank all the illustrators who are super great, and they've taught me that I need to really step up my game and be a better illustrator. And I want to thank my author, H.L. Fullerton, who couldn't be here tonight. Her story was amazing and provided so much inspiration for my illustration. And I also want to thank my family, my mom, who would do crafts with me, and my dad, who would let me watch him play video games way past my bedtime. And I want to thank my first grade teacher, Ms. Kuchar, who introduced me to painting and illustrating and would have us draw every Friday. I also want to thank my high school art teacher, Ms. Trigg, who is one of the hardest working people I've ever met and pushed me to my art way past than I even thought it could ever go. I want to give a shout out to my friends at the University of New Mexico, Anna, Alicia, Alexandra, and Alex. You guys are amazing. You support my art, and I love all of you. And lastly, I want to thank my sister Mary. She's crazy, weird, totally awesome, and the coolest person I've ever met. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having me here.
In The Broad Sky Was Mine and the Road, David must battle incendiary monsters and risk becoming a monster himself. Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Sean Williams and Illustrators of the Future Judge Sergei Poryarkov.
As the token Australian up here this year, I am honour bound to cause trouble and also to say g'day. Now, Ryan Rowe's childhood was split between the bony deserts of Nevada and the thin-aired forests of the Sierra Mountains. His parents read to him as a child, and ever since he's been hopping galaxies like a fugitive hopping train cars. Ryan studies creative writing at San Francisco State University and lives in Oakland, California, with a beautiful and mysterious woman who every day makes him believe that the impossible can happen right here on Earth. Please congratulate the author of The Broad Sky Was Mine and the Road, Ryan Rowe.
When I flew down here to LA, I got the opportunity to watch the sunrise through the airplane window, and it was stunning and violent and magical, and I felt almost as if I was traveling to another world. And lo and behold, I was. This has been a week of incredible and grounding workshops, amazing and inspiring lectures, and intimate, priceless conversations. And I know I'll carry what I've learned here for the rest of my life as a writer. I would like to thank the author L. Ron Hubbard and his estate, and all the hardworking and passionate administrators at ASI who make this nearly unbelievable award possible. I would like to thank my illustrator, Jonas, for taking my little story and making it real. I would like to thank all of my fellow winners for their companionship this week, and all of the instructors and judges, especially Tim Powers and Dave Farland, who took the time to treat us like the professional writers we are just starting to become. I would like to thank my friends and family, many of whom are here now, for their endless, unconditional love and support, without which I'm sure I would just spontaneously stop existing. And lastly, I would like to thank Elsa Garcia for always making me feel better. Without you, I think I would rather cease existing. Thank you all. It has been transformative.
Don't you have a feeling you saw me not a long time ago, no? Okay. Jonas Špokas was born in 1990 in Kaunas, Lithuania. From the early age, he felt drawn to science fiction and fantasy in video games and movies. Jonas aspired to study and draw concept art for video games, but was unable to pursue this passion as there was no such program in Lithuania. After graduating from the sculpture program at the Kaunas faculty of Vilnius Academy of Fine Art, Jonas began freelancing as a digital artist. Please congratulate illustrator of The Broad Sky Was Mine and the Road, Jonas Špokas.
So much pressure. Thank you everyone for everything. I am very lucky to be here. I am very happy to be here. I'm having time of my life. I met some wonderful people here and I learned a lot. And
I probably should thank one person who noted me about this contest. So, dėkui Simonai Juodi, tikiuosi tai čia pamatyti kitais metais. Ačiū.
In Cry Havoc, Nate is all about loyalty and companionship. But aren't most werewolves? Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Kevin J. Anderson and Illustrators of the Future Judge Echo Chernik.
Julie Frost, author of Cry Havoc, lives in Utah with her husband, her son, 5 guinea pigs, and a 3-legged cat. Because she has a degree in biology instead of physics, she doesn't feel constrained by such things as mass and mechanics when writing about werewolf transformations under a full moon. She submitted Cry Havoc to Writers of the Future 2 days before her first novel, Pack Dynamics, was published by a great publisher, Wordfire Press. And her short fiction has appeared in a number of semi-pro publications. Please congratulate the author of Cry Havoc, Julie Frost.
Joseph Campbell said, "It is by going down into the abyss that we recover the treasures of life. Where you stumble, there lies your treasure." Writing can be a lonely business, but we don't actually do this alone. I have so many people to thank. First and foremost, my God and my family. My parents always told me that I could be anything I wanted, and well, here I am. My son Justin is a faithful cheerleader. My husband, Eric, has been with me every step of the way, encouraging, pushing, reading, critiquing, commiserating, congratulating, while I navigate this always bizarre, sometimes infuriating, and frequently bizarrely infuriating business. L. Ron Hubbard had a wonderful vision to showcase and nurture new talent. I'd like to thank him and his estate, along with Author Services and Galaxy Press, for carrying it out all these years. Everyone has been so great this week, and I've enjoyed myself thoroughly. My beta readers, Patrick Tracy, Jerry Brunson, and Aspen Haugen, are awesome. Without them, none of my stories would be half as good as they are. The future finalists and Codex boards have also been a source of constant support. I originally wrote the story for a Codex Weekend Warrior contest, inspired by the quote that I opened with. It was supposed to be a flash piece. Sorry. I would also like to thank my illustrator, Vlada Monakova, for truly amazing art. Yes, I have a werewolf wall, and this is going to be its centerpiece. Thank you so much. Getting art for your story is like the best thing about this contest. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Dave Farland. My short story output last year, was a little dismal because novel edits ate my brain. And while I was flailing around looking for something to enter, I ended up rewriting this story to appeal to his specific sensibilities of character immersion and world building. He has always rooted for me, even though I write werewolf fiction, which he famously hates. When Joe Butcher was asked how to get published, he laughed and said, "Psychotic persistence." After 29 entries, 11 honorable mentions, 2 semifinalists, and 2 finalists, I won this contest with the 50th story I wrote. Never give up, never surrender. Thank you all very much.
Vlada Monakova, a freelance illustrator from Edmonton, Alberta, works in the genres of fantasy and speculative fiction. Her personal aesthetic is heavily influenced by Slavic mythology and Eastern European folk art. She aims to combine decorative and elegant treatment with often unsettling subjects, favoring powerful women and expressive characters. Please congratulate illustrator of Cry Havoc, Vlada Monakova.
Thank you, Echo, lover of beautiful and impractical dresses. So, funny story, as the stars would have it, almost 5 years ago I was at the Calgary Comic-Con, which is just a couple of hours away from Edmonton, with my first ever little portfolio. And I saw Echo's booth, and her husband was standing it, so I come up like a little nervous little thing, and I ask him, like, well, so what does it take to be an illustrator? And he looks down at me and says, he looks through my art very, very quietly, very, very scary, by the way. And he says, it's going to take you at least 10 years to start making a living of your art. And I am halfway there now. So something about artists is we aren't very public creatures. We kind of sit in our little caves, or rooms, writing or drawing or staring at a screen for hours at a time, trying to move one pixel to the other side. So to meet other kindred spirits in an environment like this is an experience like no other. And I have to thank Author Services, Ronald Hubbard, and everyone here for making this happen. There is no community like this community. I have never met so many creatives raising each other and helping each other and just sharing love and mentorship and knowledge on all facets of being an artist, because this is such a hard job to do and it's so hard to do alone. So on that note, I wanted to thank my other half, my writing half, Julie Frost, for writing a kick-ass story that gripped me right at the beginning. I had to run to draw right as I read it. I wanted to thank my other fellow illustrators for helping me understand what it's like to be normal. I wanted to thank our instructors for their time and for their generous gift of both knowledge and just companionship. Like, this is very emotional, I'm sorry. I wanted to thank my school for letting me go. This is finals week for me. And specifically, I wanted to thank Jillian Willens, my painting instructor and mentor, for giving me one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received, and it was like, if you're going, like, no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard life seems, art will be the one thing you will have control over. This is the one thing that you will have. And that has kept me going through this year and will continue to keep me going. I really hope I pass her class. And to my family, спасибо, мама, папа, я вас очень люблю.
In The Sun Falls Apart, Caleb is kept in the dark until, with the help of the sun, he discovers his untapped powers. Please welcome Writers of the Future judge Tim Powers and Illustrators of the Future judge Val Lakey Lindon.
I could have done that. J.W. Alden has always had a fascination with the fantastic. He lives just outside West Palm Beach with his wife, who doesn't mind the odd assortment of musical instruments and medieval weaponry that decorate his office, as long as he tries to brandish the former more often than the latter. I would hope exclusively the former more often than the latter. But please congratulate the author of The Sun Falls Apart, J.W. Alden.
Wow. That was incredible, whatever you call what that guy just did. That was amazing. This has been incredible, this whole experience, from the first phone call from Joni to the workshop this past week to this unreal moment right now. I want to thank everyone at ASI and Galaxy Press for making this possible. Thank you to my fellow winners for writing awesome stories, creating awesome art, and for being awesome people. Thank you to my illustrator, Christina, aka Autumn Evelyn, for bringing my work to life in a way I didn't know possible. Your work took my breath away, and I mean that. Thank you as well to the judges who give their time and support to this contest. I want to acknowledge some of the great teachers that have encouraged me and informed my writing over the years, starting with Mrs. Norman, my second grade teacher, who tricked me into becoming a writer. Thanks to, most recently, Dave Farland and Tim Powers and all of the other speakers at the workshop this week for bombarding us with knowledge. Thanks to Mary Robinette Kowal for helping me level up my writing last year. And a huge thank you to Jean Cavellos from Odyssey Writing Workshop. I wrote the first draft of this story at Odyssey 3 years ago, so I can say without a shadow of a doubt that I wouldn't be standing here if not for Jean, our guest lecturers that year, and Team Ambitious, my Odyssey classmates. Thanks as well to my family for your support, and my dad for all those trips to the library when I was a kid. Finally, I must thank my wife, Allison, who has not only encouraged me to pursue my dreams, but has enabled those dreams with her support. 3 years ago, she encouraged me to quit my job driving a forklift in a dusty warehouse to focus on my writing full time. Most writers do not get that opportunity at this stage of their career. So I cannot communicate in words how vital she has been to my growth in the field and as a person. So Allison, I love you, and thank you.
Good evening. Christina Alberici is a freelance illustrator and BFA graduate of the University of Arts in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where she studied illustration and animation. Her style features a combination of surreal and fantastical characters, each painted in a deeply imaginative settings. Her work is created completely in digital form, and her portfolio includes book covers and editorial articles, as well as sci-fi and fantasy artwork. Please congratulate illustrator of The Sun Falls Apart, Christina Alberici.
hands are trembling like this. I would like to thank my mom, my sister Amelia, Nick, and my weird creative friends who have all been with me when weird times were great and not so great. I would like to thank my writer, J.W. Alden, for giving me some wonderful material to illustrate. I would also like to thank Author Services for providing me this wonderful opportunity to help creative people become recognized and make connections, as well as giving me the chance to travel and see the world outside of my comfort zone in Philadelphia. Thank you for everything.
In A Glamour in the Black, Keani's parasite can make her look like anyone. But who is she really? Please welcome Writers of the Future Judge Eric Flint and Illustrators of the Future Judge Ron Lindon.
Sylvia Anna Hyven was born in Sweden and moved to the United States when she was 20 years old. She writes all kinds of speculative fiction, but loves dark fairy tales and weird westerns a little more than the rest. Please congratulate author of A Glamour in the Black, Sylvia Hyven.
So I'd like to thank L. Ron Hubbard and Author Services and Galaxy Press for this contest. The passion that these people have are awe-inspiring. Everybody's so wonderful. I don't know how they put up with us, but thank you for this contest. I would also like to thank my fellow writers, my awesome illustrator, Brandon, for an amazing, beautiful picture. And a special shout out to writer Stuart Baker, because he told me about this contest. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Stuart. And I'd be lying if I said any other person is my favorite to win. And I would like to thank my family back home in Sweden. Hey mama, hey papa. They never really understood why I was writing what I was writing. But they still run my stories through Google Translate to try to understand. And to my best friend Terry, who can't even finish Lord of the Rings trilogy movie in a year, but she still congratulates me whenever I publish a story. And my boyfriend Josh, who's here tonight, who is a dreamer when I am not, and who's always positive when I am in the dumps. And I love you, and I hope that one day you'll be on a stage much greater than this, and I'll be in the seat where you are. And lastly, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who has written a better story with my life than I ever could myself. So thank you.
Is this fun or what? I get to hang. Every year we get to hang out with all these winners and these visionaries, these new creative people. That's really cool. And of course, you're all winners too, because you get to see the book and what these guys have dreamed up first. So that's pretty cool. So Brandon Knight was born in Shropshire in the heart of the United Kingdom. Surrounded by small towns and green fields, Brandon spends most of his time developing ideas, which are usually inspired by a story, either fictional or historical. When he's not drawing, he's reading, discovering inspiration for another awesome creation. Please congratulate the illustrator for A Glamour in the Black, Brandon Knight.
Wow. So this experience and this competition in general has just been absolutely amazing. So I wanted to thank everyone from Author Services and Galaxy Press for making the competition what it is, and especially all the illustrators that I got to meet, spend time with you guys. You guys are all amazing. You've helped inspire me, and I'm so privileged to have met you all. And then I would also like to thank my family and friends and Sarah for supporting me and just believing in me to do this crazy thing. So thank you very much.
In Swords Like Lightning, Hooves Like Thunder, Yavina hopes to bring peace to her war-torn peoples. If only she can tame her inner bear. Please welcome Writers of the Future judges Rebecca Mesta and Dr. Gregory Benford.
Every year, our Writers of the Future coordinating judge chooses at least one finalist story beyond the 12 winners to include in the annual volume. Many of our published finalists have gone on to have successful writing careers, such as Nnedi Okorafor, Joe Beverly, Dean Wesley Smith, and the list goes on. In keeping with this tradition, this year's published finalist is K.D. Julisher. K.D., who currently resides in Nevada, has wanted to write fantasy since she was 8. After acquiring a master's degree in computer science, it took her years to kick the habit of ending every sentence with a semicolon. When her husband figured out how to use his skills at writing engineering specs to crafting story structure, he got passionate about editing her work. Now they collaborate on novels while raising their daughter. Her story is illustrated by Eldar Zakharov, our Illustrators of the Future Grand Prize winner from 2006. Please congratulate author of Swords of Lightning, Hoofs Like Thunder, K.D. Julisher.
Thank you, Rebecca. This is the notebook that I filled this week with the wit, wisdom, and wonder that our instructors and guest lecturers tried to impart to us. Over a dozen authors whose books I love took time to teach us, and I just want to thank all of them. I asked all of my fellow winners to sign this book so that I'd have a physical reminder when I get home of the week that we've shared. Good luck to all of you, and I look forward to reading your work for years to come. I'd like to thank everyone at Author Services and Galaxy Press for everything they've done for us this week and for the contest as a whole. I'd like to thank L. Ron Hubbard for establishing this contest and seeing to its continuation. I'd like to thank Dave Farland, Tim Powers, and Sean Williams for their company and their lectures this week. There are too many writers who have joined me along the way to thank them all, but I have to thank my amazing crit group. Alyssa, Christy, Chuck, Kenny, and Sean, who at this point have read something like 500,000 words that I've written and still come back every other Monday night. I'd like to thank my parents, in-laws, and siblings for their support, encouragement, and babysitting. For my daughter, for understanding that when I say it's time for mommy to write, that she really does need to go and play with her dragons by herself. And most importantly, my husband Daniel is my collaborator along every step of this path, from the first spark of a new story to the last word edited in the last page. He's there with me, making worlds together. Thank you, love. I don't want to have to do this without you.
Crystal Claxton was tragically born in with a miscalibrated sense of humor and lived in 9 U.S. states before the age of 13, only a few steps ahead of the feds. The combination of the two has left her with an oscillating accent and a habit of laughing at things that aren't actually funny. She enjoys breaking Heinz Lein's rules, getting distracted by Dragon Con, which is awfully easy, and feverishly researching whatever random topic has just piqued her interest. She wasn't able to attend our ceremony last year, so we drank her drinks. And she is with us, though, tonight. Please congratulate the author of Plainer Ghosts from Writers of the Future, Volume 31, Crystal Claxton.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Benford. Benford, I'm so sorry. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about how you get the finalist call from Joni Labaki, the contest director. Now, this call is legendary, whispered about in the small corners of the Writers of the Future Forum, Codex, and other places where writers congregate on the internet. And the legend is that when Joni calls you, you freak out. So I decided that if I ever got the call, I was going to do everything I could to be cool. So Joni calls me, and she says, "Hi, this is Joni Labaki, Writers of the Future." And I say, "Hello." And she says, "Well, I'm just calling to tell you that you're a finalist in the 4th quarter." And I say, "Okay." Now, Joni tries to help you out. She explains to me how this is the most entries we've ever had in a quarter, and how I'm at the top 8. And it's, you know, impressive. And finally, exasperated at my lack of enthusiasm, she says, "You know, it's kind of a big deal." Okay. Thank you. Okay. And it is a big deal. To my knowledge, there is nothing else like this for writers. Certainly not science fiction and fantasy writers. And I'd like to thank Mr. Hubbard and all of the wonderful people at ASI for everything I've learned on my journey to this moment. I'd also like to thank Katie Wentworth for rejecting my very first and truly awful short story. I regret only that my journey was so long and so slow that I was unable to meet her. The care and attention that she gave writers online was admirable and amazing. I'd also like to thank David Farland and Tim Powers for teaching us and looking after us this week. I'd especially like to thank all of the judges who've donated their valuable time to us this week and throughout the year. I think time is one of the few non-renewable resources that are truly valuable, and I'm appreciative of that. Okay. Thanks to Codex, the members of the Writers of the Future Forum, and to all of my critique partners, I'm sorry. I'd like to thank Amit Dutta, who did the amazing artwork that I have hung up in my office and have enjoyed all year long. I regret also that I was unable to meet him last year. Okay. I'm told that people don't like their in-laws, but I'm very fortunate to have the support of mine in all of my endeavors, and I must thank them now. I'd like to thank my 6-year-old son, who permits my writing time and sends me away saying, "Mama, write good stories, but not too long." I'd also like to thank my 1-year-old son, who has hidden his storybooks throughout the house so that there's always one on hand should he catch you in a moment. I'd like to thank my father, who says that every story I write is highly acceptable. I'd like to thank my sister, whose enthusiasm and encouragement is both amazing, of course, and terrifying. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my spouse, who revels in his role of Heinlein's enforcer, and who delights in reminding me that I can do this, if only I just sit down and write. Thank you very much.
Before we continue to the Grand Prize Gold Awards, please welcome the president of Galaxy Press, John Goodwin, for the official release of Writers of the Future Anthology, Volume 32.
Thank you. As our past writer and illustrator winners continue to plant their footprints on our culture, and as the annual anthology moves up to national bestseller and award status, I challenge this year's winners to come together to follow in their footsteps. So with that, it is now my honor and privilege to officially release L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future, Volume 32.
Writers of the Future takes those beginners, new people that no one has heard of yet, and with a trumpet calls everybody's attention to them and then puts a spotlight on them and says, "These, look at these."
We are actually promoting new artists, helping to create a pool of artists that's bigger, stronger, and healthier than anything we've seen before.
This doesn't encourage just one type of writing, not just hard science fiction or just short stories or just fantasy.
The stories have been selected entirely on their merit, and the ones that win do so because they're the most amazing stories in the world.
And the quality of the fiction is always a rewarding read when you're reading the finalists.
All the stories that were shown, all the ones we're choosing from, would be completely credible winners of the grand prize.
A great story can literally change the way that you see the world.
They're exciting new voices and they have to be welcomed and celebrated.
It's 5-star all the way.
The cover art for the annual anthology is created by Sergei Poyarkov. It also, yes. It also contains all the prize-winning stories and illustrations. These are all beautifully presented in a large trade paperback format to display the gorgeous artwork in full color. And we again have a parade of additional features. First, we have bonus stories from two of our best-selling and award-winning judges, David Farland and Sean Williams, along with a classic tale by L. Ron Hubbard. The anthology also boasts insights from some of our judges, following the aims of the contests to inspire and educate new talent, such as Where Steampunk Started by Writers of the Future judge Tim Powers, who was actually present when the term sprung from a small group of creative and imaginative minds. The Fine Distinction Between Cooks and Chefs by Writers of the Future judge Brandon Sanderson. Flawless Imperfection by Sergei Poyarkov. Directing the Art by contest judge Bob Eggleton. and a short, very humorous article by L. Ron Hubbard, How to Drive a Writer Crazy. The anthology lends itself to a study of how to win, not just by reading the winning tales, but by learning from those insightful essays that are included in the book. I invite you all to get your own copies of the new anthology following tonight's ceremonies and congratulate each winner as you get their first autographs. Now, for the climax of our annual awards event, the presentation of the Gold Awards. Please welcome back Ms. Joni Labaki.
We've just met our very talented quarterly Writers and Illustrators of the Future contest winners. Each year, our judges must evaluate and ponder prize-winning entries and then come together to bestow the highest honor, which are the Golden Brush Award for the Grand Prize winning illustrator and the Golden Pen Award for the Grand Prize writing winner. Along with their stunning trophies, publication in the anthologies, and the informative workshops, each of our Grand Prize winners will also receive an additional check for $5,000. To present the L. Ron Hubbard Illustrators of the Future Grand Prize Golden Brush Award, please welcome Illustrators of the Future Judge Sergei Poyarkov and Miss Kelly Girardi.
All of our artist winners have studied and toiled for years in order to develop the prowess that you've seen here tonight. It takes a great talent and vision just to earn a spot as a finalist. But the Golden Brush Award was created to honor a single winner from this amazing group of artists, to convey our gratitude for their hard work and acknowledge our best wishes for belief in their future.
Well, may we have the envelope, please? Oh my God. Maybe the name of the dinosaur is Envelope. What's a strange idea to call dinosaur Envelope? It's such a European.
Sergei, I have a feeling that the envelope is in the mouth, and you won tonight, so I'm going to let you get it.
Thank you. Sorry, Envelope. So, the illustrators. Okay. The illustrators of the future. I want to see he's gone. The illustrators of the future Golden Brush Award with the beautiful trophy and the grand prize check of $5,000 goes to the illustrator of the illustrators of Squalor and Sympathy, illustrated by Adrian Massaro. Come here.
There's no speech for this one, so improvising is not my strength, so I'm just going to thank you everyone. Thank you everyone who even thought of having me here, of anyone who saw potential in what I always saw as just an activity I did for fun, which is drawing and painting. Thank you so much.
To present the Writers of the Future Golden Pen Award, please welcome Writers of the Future Coordinating Judge David Farland and Writers of the Future Judge Orson Scott Card.
Thank you. Last year, it was my privilege to search through thousands of stories to discover our winning tales. These new authors exemplify the best new writers in the world. Several have gone on to publish in other forums, and we look forward to watching them continue in their success. The Golden Pen Award will help catapult one of these amazing new writers into a professional career, we hope.
May I have the envelope, please?
The Writers of the Future winner of the Golden Pen Award and grand prize check for $5,000 goes to the writer of the story, Squalor and Sympathy, written by Matt Dubby.
Again, I will remind you, I promised my wife I would not cry. And she is watching now, she will know. It's at moments like this, unique, life-defining, broadcast globally kind of moments, that the only words that come to mind are from a kid's film. I have small children, I watch a lot of Disney. And so in the words of Flynn Rider, as he wielded a frying pan to fight a horse with a sword, I'll have you know this is the strangest thing I've ever done. This is incredible. I have been like an ill-sitting hen all night waiting to hear about this. And I don't want to seem ungrateful to any of the judges who voted for this story, because I'm really not. This is amazing. But it could have been any one of us up here, and not just John, Stuart, and JW, any of us in this volume. All of these stories are incredible. And the differences between them and the positioning, it hinges on words. I don't know how Dave chooses, because all of these stories are incredible, and it feels like a fluke that I'm the one up here. And so I know this is easy to say from where I'm standing, but this is for all of us, because you are all incredible. And more than that, this is for all those writers out there who are still aspiring to this contest, because it can happen. It's happened for us, it can happen for you. Just keep writing, just do what you do and do it with confidence, and you will get here. And more than that, you need to write without shame, because there are people out there who will look down on speculative fiction, who will look down on genre and limit themselves, say imagination is not a tool to be used. But ours is the genre of Dickens and of Shakespeare and Beowulf. Ours is the first literature. Ours is the greatest genre. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And more than that, I have a theory about stories. I think the stories we tell our children are the stories we define ourselves by. They are our way of saying, this is what the world is. This is who we are and how we are. And if you watch any kids' TV or films, as I have a great deal, you will know it is full of rockets, it is full of dinosaurs, it is full of aliens, it is full of magic, it is full of speculative fiction. Speculative fiction is the story we tell our children. It is our most important story, and we all know that. And so on all of you, the winners, the judges, all of the guests here and everybody watching at home, I lay on you this responsibility. Go out and write these stories, redefine this world, reshape this world. If we are the writers of the future, it is up to us to write the future. Thank you.
This finalizes the 2016 L. Ron Hubbard Achievement Awards and another fantastic year of expansion for the contest. As for our final word to all our winners, our goal is to give you the platform and the tools that you need to make professional careers in doing what you love to do. Our goal is for you to make a difference in this world with your writing and art. Our goal is for you to remember that people who give will never be poor, and that you one day will come back and pay it forward in the spirit of these words from L. Ron Hubbard. A being is only as valuable as he can serve others. Please join us now for the Ebell Club reception and desserts to honor tonight's winners and our renowned judges. Enjoy the displays in the Ebell Club rooms, and most importantly, do not miss out on your chance to ask our winners for their very first autographs as published professionals. From the executives and staff of Author Services and Galaxy Press, congratulations to all the winners, and thank you all for being with us tonight. See you at the club, and enjoy the rest of the evening.